and it's not always easy to find the right treatment plan. Did you know that up to 75% of children and adolescents with ADHD have at least one additional mental health condition that also requires a comprehensive approach to treatment? ADHD guidelines were recently updated to reflect the need to screen for associated disorders. Be sure to talk with your child's doctor about proper screening and visit moretoadhd.com for additional information. That's moretoadhd.com. This message has been brought to you in partnership with ADA, ACO, and CHAD.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm John Scott. Republicans 5 weeks away from taking over the House, but they're already previewing a clash with the Pentagon over its Biden-era policies. Details from Bernie Bennett.
Would-be House Speaker Kevin McCarthy says Congress should delay the National Defense Authorization Act until next year, citing the need for the new majority to crack open the bill and try to roll back policies meant to make the service more inclusive. Because they're in the minority, Republicans haven't been able to make much of a dent on how the Defense Department handles its troops. All of that changes on January 3rd, when those same Republicans gain the power to call their own hearings on topics of their choosing, push through legislation, and put their concerns front and center. Bernie Bennett, Washington.
Also at townhall.com, authorities in Oklahoma where 4 people were found dead and 1 injured at a marijuana farm say they do have a suspect in mind.
Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation Captain Stan Florence says authorities believe the suspect knew the victims who were found dead Sunday night at the 10-acre marijuana farm near Hennessy. The Kingfisher County Sheriff's Office had initially responded to a reported hostage situation at the farm. Police searched the property using drones, helicopters, and on the ground. Florence says there's a lot to unravel with this case. Oklahoma voters legalized medical marijuana in 2018, and the industry quickly boomed. In March, voters decide whether to legalize the recreational use of the drug. I'm Julie Walker.
A man has been arraigned on charges. He crashed his SUV through the front window of an Apple store in Massachusetts, killing 1 person, injuring 19. 53-year-old Bradley Rain was arraigned in district court in Hingham. He told police he was looking for an eyeglass store when his right foot became stuck on the accelerator and he couldn't brake the car. On Wall Street, the Dow hit 353 points, the Nasdaq up 102. More at townhall.com.
Adam, what are you thankful for?
Great question, Nick. My new son Henry, eating too much of Mom's pumpkin pie.
I'm grateful that Legacy Box has been able to help millions of people safeguard their important recorded moments. And with our Black Friday event that starts now, more families can enjoy digitizing their home movies and pictures with an insane 65% off.
Legacy Box is the best gift for you or a family member. It's what Better Homes and Gardens calls the most sentimental gift to make this holiday season special, and what Reader's Digest called a genius product.
That's because Legacy Box is simple and safe, and we digitize everything by hand.
You'll get your originals back, plus digital copies that protect your treasured tapes, film reels, and photos from floods, mold, even the decay of time.
So while the stuffing is in the oven, make sure to visit Legacy Box and shop our Black Friday event to take an unreal 65% off. With limited quantities ready to ship, this deal will go fast.
Black Friday starts now at legacybox.com/lbox. That's legacybox.com to take 65% off. legacybox.com/lbox.
From the News Talk STL newsroom, I'm Joey Vasovich. Alderman Jack Coder announced yesterday that he would not run for any office this coming spring when the new maps reducing the city's 28 wards to 14 first kick in. In a tweet, Coder thanked the 7th Ward and said it's time for his family's next chapter. A plan to create a downtown Chesterfield cleared its first major hurdle Monday when a special commission recommended it receive $353 million in tax incentives. The project calls for about $3 billion worth of residential and commercial developments, including a redevelopment of the Chesterfield Mall. Jim Beam and local business distributor Breakthrough Beverage Missouri are partnering to provide 2,000 free Lyft rides up to $30 in value tomorrow beginning at 2 p.m. The rides are available to those in St. Louis, Kansas City, Columbia, and Springfield who use the promo code BBG MoThanks 2022. The Amarin Thanks for Giving Parade kicks off at 9 a.m. on Thanksgiving Day. The route goes along Market Street from the soccer stadium down to Stiefel Theater. Parade goers can expect over 120 parade units, including floats, balloons, and marching bands. And in sports, the Blues beat the Ducks 3-1 at Enterprise last night. This is the 7th win in a row following their 8-game losing streak. Next up, the Blues head to Buffalo to face the Sabres tomorrow night. Puck drop is at 6 p.m. For in-depth coverage of these stories and more, go to newstalkstl.com.
From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
I'm News 4 meteorologist Leah Hill with your first alert forecast. Our temperatures today are more spring-like than what's typical for mid-November. Highs will sit near 60 degrees this afternoon with full sunshine. But once the sun drops, temperatures quickly plummet. Prepare to bundle up as you head out tonight. Overnight lows dip to 38 degrees ahead of a busy travel day tomorrow with temperatures reaching 60s. Expected to be clear for Thanksgiving travel. Rain chances, however, impact the area Thanksgiving Day. That's been your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Leah Hill.
Welcome home to St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk.
Definitely not a Republican wave, that's for darn sure.
We start off with 2 words.
News, analysis, and opinion.
I am tonight announcing my candidacy.
Now the 2024 presidential election is in front of us.
The G20 summit.
Climate change and food security.
And I do not think there's any imminent attempt on the part of China to invade Taiwan.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by All Solutions Pest Control, 636-486-7888, or visit them at allsolutionspestcontrol.com.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
Tony Colombo.
Libertarianism is all about individual liberty.
Katie Fitzpatrick.
Oh, good for you.
Colombo and Katie on News Talk STL.
Time to rise has been engaged. Your better best to rearrange. I'm talking here to me alone. I listen to the finest work song. Your finest hour. Your finest hour.
Well, hello and welcome to the Tuesday edition of Colombo and Katie on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Great to be with you this afternoon. My name is Tony Colombo. Of course, my partner Katie Fitzpatrick is on maternity leave, so producer Stel Ponticus is here with us.
Nice to be here.
Great to see you, buddy, as always. And as we mentioned yesterday, in studio for the entire show, he was here. It was a warm-up act yesterday. In the 3 o'clock hour today, the entire show, Crane Durham from Nothing But Truth in studio with us. Great to see you, buddy.
It's really great to be here, and I got to see some of the behind-the-scenes work.
Yeah, it's
and
not
very
impressive.
cool.
No,
very cool. It's familiar.
Crane brought gifts in today too. As you guys know, I am a little too much into
energy
Mountain
stuff?
Dew and energy drinks and all of those sort of things.
Uh-huh.
Oh, thank you. It must have printed twice. Thank you. Thank you.
It's very
distracting.
Yes, I am.
And you brought me you brought in a new energy drink that I am trying for the very first time. So if things get wild.
Yes.
On the show today,
things get a little wacky.
A little
rainbow.
Exactly.
Yes.
You know exactly what happened. Trying out a new energy drink that Crane brought me, and things get a little bit crazy.
Well, I leave everybody in suspense.
Yes.
What is it?
Oh, it's what is it called, Crane?
It is it's First Form Energy.
There you go.
First Form.
Yeah.
First Form, and it is new, and like a brother from another mother, I got to tell you that I share your affinity for new energy drinks and finding out the latest thing. And as I say that, I know my wife is listening, and I really don't drink a lot of them, but I drink enough of them.
There you go.
There you go.
So Crane will be with us for the entire show today. We were supposed to talk with Christian Daytalk at the White House in the next segment of this show. However, as has happened many times, because he is a very busy man and there's a lot of his schedule that is dependent on what is happening at the White House. Christian,
or so he says. Yeah.
Yes, or so he says. It's a good excuse. It's kind of like kids, like, oh, my kid's sick. Like you can always just pull that card. He can just always say like, oh, the White House needs me. And so he will not be joining us today, but we will in just about 10 or 15 minutes from now. Talk to our good friend Paul Kurtman, of course, of the Paul Kurtman Show, which you can hear every Saturday at noon here on News Talk STL. Paul always a great person to bounce things off of. He's a vet. He is a veteran, I should say. Just to be clear. A veteran. He is he works in the financial industry for his full-time job, as well as being a talk show host. He is a former Missouri State Representative, so he has covered politics, and he has served on the other side of being a politician. So he is just an expert on all things. And so we will talk to Paul and get his thoughts on some of the headlines of the day and all the crazy things that are happening in our world. So got a great show for you.
Awesome.
And, should also remind you, we have Baby Shark Live tickets. Baby Shark Live is a great family fun show. If you're looking for something to do with the kids this holiday season, Baby Shark Live is coming to the Family Arena next Tuesday, November 29th, and we will have a family 4-pack of tickets to give away to that show at the end of the 2 o'clock hour. Still, let's say like 2:55.
Okay.
2:55. Right before the top of the hour news at 3 o'clock, we will give you a chance to win a family 4-pack of Baby Shark Live tickets. So be listening for that as well. Crane, great to see you, buddy. How are you feeling today?
Feeling great.
Yeah, lots to talk about. Do you think, I keep bracing myself for the news cycle to slow down because of the holidays. The politicians will all go home. Right. It'll be fairly quiet in the Capitol. Like here in Missouri, the legislative session doesn't start obviously until early January, so there won't be a whole lot of, it's kind of the quiet before the storm. And, just from doing this for many years,
yes,
you're kind of used to that happening.
Many
There's
years.
a little bit of a yes, many, and they're still happening. But I'm not sure it's going to happen this year. I'm not sure that it ever quiets down anymore. Do you think that? Do you feel like we are entering a period of
the constant
where it's going to settle down, or do you feel like we live in a world now? I mean, Donald Trump just announced for presidency. I mean, I feel like the holiday break is almost non-existent anymore.
Yeah, there's no timeout. There's no halftime, it seems. Holidays, Christmas, Thanksgiving, Hanukkah, whatever your thing is, the idea is that while we take a step back because of what you mentioned, the people that are in power legislatively, and they have the most power in the sense of Congress. That's how it's designed. Look up the Article 1. But the idea is, okay, we are not going to be inundated by crisis. And we have nothing but crisis. And everything's a crisis, and everything has been weaponized.
Yes.
And it's terrible because it really gets us away from solving problems and makes us look at each other as the other. You're the other.
Yeah.
You there was a shooting, and so I'm going to blame you for it. What?
Yeah. Winning elections is no longer about presenting solutions to voters. It's telling you why the other person is bad or dangerous or why you should be afraid of them. It's all about they're bad. Not even necessarily we're good. It's just they're bad.
Yeah.
Like it's just all about making you afraid of the other side than it is presenting any solutions.
Right. Here's what we want to do, or here's this. We also have this bombing that takes place by people on Twitter where all of a sudden, if somebody is doing something that the line, so to speak, that everybody must fall into, if they're out of line, Elon Musk, boom, they're going to drop bombs. They're going to find things that are not present. They're going to go back. They're going to mine Twitter. They're going to mine every place. They're going to mine the internet and find out if they can find a way to call them an ist or an ism.
Absolutely.
And it's crazy.
Absolutely.
Absolutely crazy.
Yep. No, you're exactly right. Go ahead, Stel.
And social media has totally destroyed the news cycle. So now, as you guys have mentioned, it's 24/7. On top of that, today we're 2 weeks out from the election, and we still have races that are being contested. Oh, this just is?
You did it. No, that was
There
a
it
perfect
is.
segue, Stel. That was an absolutely perfect segue because
Montana and Rice right here.
as we did several days last week, Stel, we started the show with before the House had been decided and when there were still a whole bunch of races that were uncalled. We were, for several days last week, starting each show with okay, here's the 13 seats that are left. Here's the 9 seats that are left. And here's where they're at. And here's the situation. Well, we retired that segment, but I'm bringing it back for one day and one day only because, as you mentioned, Stel, today is 2 weeks. 2 weeks. It's been 2 weeks since the election, and there are still four United States House races that they are still counting votes in. And I have the details on those 4 races that are still outstanding for you. So
that's why we brought Crane in, so we can discuss all.
You know what?
This
We
is
said
wonderful.
it. We said it as a joke.
Yeah,
right?
when was the last one?
I said it as a joke last week. What would happen first? Would this election be over, or would the Georgia runoff get here? And right now it's 2 weeks. Today is 2 weeks exactly to the Georgia Senate runoff.
Yes.
And 2 weeks from the last election, and they're still counting. So the Georgia runoff could still possibly happen before all of this is done. So as we mentioned, as results from midterm elections continue to trickle in, 2 weeks past Election Day, 4 critical House races in Alaska, California, and Colorado still remain uncalled. California, which has 2 of the 4 uncalled races, is a predominantly vote-by-mail state. The biggest state is predominantly vote by mail. How could that ever create a problem? Meaning every registered voter is automatically mailed a ballot 29 days prior to Election Day with 22 million registered voters and weeks-long processing time. This means race calls can move very slowly in the Golden State, as we are seeing. In California's 3rd Congressional District, Republican Kevin Kiley holds a commanding lead over Democrat Kermit Jones. However, approximately only just over 50% of the ballots have been counted in what is considered a likely Republican race. California accepts mail-in ballots for a week following Election Day, so that is as of last Tuesday. They could still count your vote. It could still show up and they could count it as long as it was postmarked November 8th, which was Election Day. So that is a big part of why it is happening. But still, even with that.
Wait a minute, we're 2 weeks out and you said 50%?
And just over.
My goodness.
Still, I feel like when we were talking about this exact seat, California's 3rd district, likely Republican, the Republican in the race holds a commanding lead. I feel like I've said those exact words
for the last
multiple times. Yeah. Last week, I feel like I was saying it was just over 50% of the vote counted. This guy was winning with a commanding lead. So they haven't done anything. It hasn't moved. It hasn't moved an inch in a week, which is incredible. Okay, so there's that one. That's probably going to go to the Republicans. The second uncalled race in California lies in the state's 13th congressional district and is considered a toss-up race. It's among the tightest remaining, with the Republican John Durante narrowly leading the Democrat Adam Gray in that race by less than 800 votes. So there's 2. So there's still 4 left. 2 in California, 1 looking very much like it will go to the Republican. The other one Republican holds a very, very narrow lead, considered a toss-up still, even at this point. All right. Of the other two, one of them is in Alaska. Alaska's at-large congressional district still remains uncalled, held up by the vote counting process in the state's newly implemented ranked choice voting system, which we've talked about a whole lot. The seat has been rated by Fox News Power Rankings and other media outlets as a lean Democrat as a result of the ranked choice system that gives the Democrat representative there an advantage against her Republican opponents, one of which is Sarah Palin, who has fallen
off the end of the earth.
Quite a, quite a bit as far as her political star and
she can not only see Russia from her house, she can see the end of her.
Well, she never political career. Good luck, Sarah Palin.
Good luck, Sarah.
I'm a fan.
Yeah, she's not going to win. And then the other race, the only other race out there that has not been called is the Lauren Boebert race in Colorado, which is still considered to be too close to call. Colorado predominantly votes by mail, but processing is much swifter than California. I don't prove it. Let's see. In 2020, 90% of the vote was counted by Wednesday morning after Election Day, according to the Associated Press. Even so, mail-in ballots from out-of-state and overseas military service members can arrive as late as Wednesday as long as they were postmarked on Election Day. Incumbent Republican Representative Lauren Boebert was not expected to have such a close race with her Democrat opponent Adam Frisch in the likely Republican seat. The one-term Congresswoman is narrowly leading the vote count right now. And though the race will qualify for a recount under Colorado state law, as we talked about a couple of days ago, the Democrat there, Adam Frisch, has conceded the race to Boebert. However, that race has still not been called.
Yet, so the race hasn't been called 2 weeks, but within a day or 24 hours or 48 hours of a shooting, she can be blamed for it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Wow. I mean,
exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. You got it. That's how it works. That's exactly how it works.
I'm just trying to keep up, Tony.
Yep, nope. That's exactly how it works. So, yeah.
And we have the 800-pound elephant still in the room.
Which is?
Carrie Lake. And that race in Arizona, which is, who knows what they're going to do regarding contesting everything. Right. But I'm sure something has to be done.
That story is not over.
Because Monday is the date, I believe, for certifying the vote.
That story is not over.
And there are now 4 counties that are, along with Maricopa, making it 5, I guess, saying that we're not going to certify
the
results.
Yeah. Yep. So all of that, 2 weeks removed from the election, and still all of these question marks surrounding it, which is ridiculous.
It is.
We live in this. This is the state of our country. Right?
Yeah, but it also speaks to the fact that there is a narrative out there that the system's rigged or something along those lines. And I understand with the 2020, with spiking stories and ballot harvesting, I get that. But we believe in the system. Otherwise, we wouldn't be coming out to vote. We believe in it. And to that point about the other, and something that you remind us of a daily basis, Tony, is that, hey, wait a second, we have different points of view, but it's all right, and we still believe in an election system that our founders laid out.
Yeah, absolutely. But we need to, and I do not want, as much as I want it to be cleaned up in certain areas, like accepting votes a week past the election night in California is ridiculous. I don't agree with that at all. I like Missouri's law a whole lot. I like the way that we vote in Missouri a whole lot. It's very simple. It's very clean. There are opportunities to mail-in vote. There are opportunities to early vote. They're very easy options to take advantage of as well. It's not like you have to jump through a bunch of hoops. But we know we get results in by election night, and you vote in person, mostly, and you show your ID and you cast your vote, and we count them up quickly, and we get results out quickly. In Florida, they showed the third most populous state in the union. They had no problem getting their votes counted on election night and getting the results in. So it can be done, and I'd like to see them clean up their act in some of these other states.
Dare I say, I don't think it's going to be cleaned up in the blue states. I think the red states hopefully will make moves to clean up the way they do it, maybe modeling themselves after Florida.
It'll clean up in the blue states if the voters hold them accountable.
I don't think they will. I hate to say that.
No,
you guys can
no, I
disagree
agree.
with me.
No. Right now, I agree. Right now, I do agree with you. But I think that as times like this happen, more and more elections, and this frustration happens, I think that even people that right now are on that side will start to change.
I hope you're
Mugged by reality, living under the feeling the
exactly.
incompetence of the policy or form of voting.
That's it. That's it. As I mentioned, we are going to talk to our good friend Paul Kurtman from the Paul Kurtman Show here in just a moment. Discuss some other issues with him. Speaking of Georgia, there's a brand new poll out today regarding who is leading in Georgia, now just 2 weeks out from that very critical runoff election. So we will talk to Paul about that and much, much more. Crane Durham is in studio with myself and Stell, so don't go anywhere. You're listening to Colombo and Katie on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Colombo and Katie, the new faces of talk radio. Talk radio made in St. Louis.
Very excited for what you guys are doing for the St. Louis community.
For St. Louis. Relevant local talk.
Saying what we are thinking.
This is News Talk STL.
No, you guys are awesome. I love you. And it's a tremendous honor to be on the station.
News, analysis, and opinion.
Thanks for covering the local angle.
Come on, people. This is America.
We better open our eyes.
Really local, really good.
News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1, and newstalkstl.com.
If you are looking for a new dentist for you and your family, I cannot recommend the Colombo Family Dentist enough. You guys have heard me talk about Dr. Matt Boscia and the great staff out at New Creation Dental Care before. They are just the best for so many reasons. Dr. Boscia really embraces technology and
tell you something. Love confusion. They love chaos because then it gives them a path to ride right into the middle of it with all the news and information that you need with the truth. You know, they're going to tell you what the truth is, and they might even set up a truth committee, right?
Yes, they
so,
might.
Politicians love chaos and confusion because they can be the knight in shining armor, and that's how they convince us that we need them to stay in office.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And we were just talking in the last segment also about how elections are no longer about two candidates presenting their solutions to whatever the problems of the day are. It's just making you afraid of the other side. It's all about why the other side is bad, why the other side is dangerous, and not even necessarily why our side is good. Just that side is bad, that side is dangerous, that's why you can't vote for that, and nobody's putting forward solutions, especially on the left. The Democrats have really embraced that, I think, even more than the Republicans have these days. I got a story here for everybody that I'd like to get everybody's reaction and thoughts on. As we mentioned, 2 weeks. We are 2 weeks removed exactly today from the election, and we are now also exactly 2 weeks away from the all-important Senate runoff election in the state of Georgia, and there is a brand new poll out today. 2 weeks from today is the highly anticipated Georgia Senate runoff, and a new poll shows Raphael Warnock ahead of Herschel Walker. An AARP poll released today surveying Georgia voters found that Warnock has a 51% to 47% lead over Herschel Walker. According to the poll, Warnock holds a strong 24-point lead among voters 18 to 49, while Walker is up 9 percentage points among Georgia voters 50 and over. The survey also revealed that Georgia voters are more fond of former President Donald Trump than current President Joe Biden. Only 43% of respondents approved of the job Biden is currently doing as president, which to me, that's a huge number for Joe Biden. He might be on the losing end of the poll there, but 43%, if I'm Joe Biden, that's a home run. 43% of respondents approve of the job Biden is currently doing as president, while Trump received a 48% job approval rating for his time in the White House. Inflation was the leading issue for Republican voters in the poll, while almost 30% of Democrat voters said threats to democracy was the number one reason. That was the number one issue for Democrat voters in the poll. Also, Social Security / Medicare and economy / jobs. Those were the next two most important issues to Georgia voters, according to the poll. And before I get your guys' thoughts, can I just say that this really shines a light on just how stupid many voters are. As we've said, it's okay. If you want to vote Democrat, if you're a Democrat, you want to support Democrats and policies, if you like socialism, then by God, vote for socialism. But to say that threats to democracy is your number one concern and you're going to fix it by voting for the party that over the last 2 years has done more to give absolute power to the federal government and take away as many rights as they can is just asinine.
Well said.
You might want to cover up a little bit, Georgia. Your ignorance is showing. Like it's just that just blows my mind. But it explains a lot when we see some of the results in these elections that we have seen. Paul, your thoughts on this poll? Do you take any stock in a poll like this? And what's your reaction to this news 2 weeks out from this runoff election?
Yeah, I don't really take any stock in these polls. Most people have to understand that these polling companies are getting paid to run the polls. And I'm not saying that means that there's no polling company out there that has any integrity. However, they're getting hired by the Democrat Party or they're getting hired by some type of policy think tank. And so whenever they formulate their questions, it's just very possible that they're not being quite as objective as we would like to think that they are. On the idea, though, that the biggest threat facing Americans right now is a threat to democracy, that's a very, very bold thing to say when the government split just after an election. Clearly, clearly the biggest threat facing America is not the ability for people to go and vote for their own elected representatives, because the government's split. Now, if it was Republicans winning by 15 or 20% or Democrats winning by 15 or 20% across the board, then I might be like, yeah, there might be something fishy going on here. But right now, whenever I look at states like Arizona or what happened in 2020 in Wisconsin, I would have to say that if there's any threat, it's probably coming from the corruption inside the Democrat Party, which we've seen manifest in Missouri in 2 elections, one of which got thrown out. So I think the Democrats need to be very careful saying that the biggest threat to America is the future of democracy, because right now all indications point to them being the threat.
Amen.
Yeah, and threats to the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, if you look at the Democratic Party, because that's what they're attacking, and making sure that people, you can say something, but if you don't toe the party line, wow, character assassination will come at you. Let me ask you, Paul, as you were a legislator and you wanted to get one message out, if you had one message that, hey, I wish every Missourian, I wish every American citizen knew this about legislating, government, what would it be?
Oh, my goodness. Well, where do you start? I'll tell you, that's kind of a 2-part answer. I'll be quick. The first thing that Missourians need to understand, the one issue that Missourians need to understand, is just what freedom is. Because that is largely lost. Like you said earlier, Tony, people just start fighting over, it's like a personality war. Well, these people are bad because X, Y, and Z. Meanwhile, our freedom, the thing that allows us to pursue prosperity or pursue peace, like our freedom of speech, all that stuff is at stake, and it's being eroded, not just slowly, but it's being eroded pretty quickly. So the number one issue is people need to know exactly what freedom is and why it's so valuable to them on every issue. But the other thing people need to understand, it's amazing, these polls that say, Congress, we need term limits because everybody needs to be voted out. But when people are asked about their congressman, they're like, oh, no, my congressman's good. Well, that's probably not true. You need to know your congressman and their voting record, too, because they're all part of the same organization belonging to one of 2 parties. And so it's very likely your own congressman is also incredibly culpable for all the problems that we have right now.
Paul, you know what? This is interesting. We got a few minutes left here with Paul Kurtman, and, continuing to draw on your expertise. As we mentioned, not only does Paul have a show here on News Talk STL, he works in the financial industry as his quote unquote real job. He served in the United States military, and he was also a state legislator. He was a state representative here in Missouri. So many things that we can draw upon your expertise. But going back to your time as a politician and just your opinion in general on term limits, because I believe when I see somebody that has served in any seat, whether it be on the national level in the United States Congress or a state seat, and they've been there for 30 or 40 years or something, I believe that is too long. I don't like that personally. But I also don't like telling voters that they can't vote for the person that they think is the best one for the job. So as much as I encourage people to vote for, new ideas and new blood and that sort of thing, I don't like the idea of hard and fast term limits. And I really think that Missouri's can be sometimes way too strict. And limit the ability to have the best people in place sometimes with the term limits that we have at the state level. Where do you fall as far as that is concerned? Term limits, yeah.
I used to be for term limits. I used to be for them until I got elected, and that might sound very self-serving, but it's not. Here's the thing. People should have the freedom to vote for whatever representative they want as many times as they want. But with term limits, here's what happened in Jefferson City. Every 8 years, at least every 8 years, there is a 100% turnover in the House of Representatives. Yeah. And although that sounds like a good thing, the consultants and the lobbyists and the bureaucrats, there's no term limits on them. So all the institutional knowledge now resides almost entirely in the special interest core. And so when representatives are looking for information on issues, they have to lean on people who have been there for decades, who are more interested in keeping their job or, picking up their next consultant gig. So I am not for term limits anymore. the term limit bureaucrats, consultants, lobbyists, and special interests. It's probably never going to happen, so I'd rather have my freedom to vote for whatever representative I want as many times as I want.
Great stuff there from Paul Kurtman. Again, you can hear the Paul Kurtman Show every Saturday at noon right here on News Talk STL. You can also subscribe to the Paul Kurtman Show podcast like you do every other show here on the radio station, so you never miss an episode. Just subscribe subscribe to the Paul Kurtman podcast on your favorite podcast platform. And make sure you are checking it out every Saturday at noon. Paul, really appreciate your time as always, my friend, and we will talk to you very soon. If we don't talk to you beforehand, have a very happy Thanksgiving.
Thanks. Happy Thanksgiving, guys.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Great stuff there from Paul Kurtman, and a great show. Subscribe to the podcast and make sure you're checking out the Paul Kurtman Show every Saturday at noon. All right, more with Crane Durham. There was some fireworks today in the White House press briefing. An exchange between Karine Jean-Pierre, Dr. Anthony Fauci making his last appearance at a press briefing, and some reporters. And we will tell you all about that in just a moment. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to Colombo and Katie on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Follow us on Getter at News Talk STL. The latest news.
Candidacy for President of the United States.
Here we go again.
We just got crushed in this election. Still going to be a lot of folks that enter this race, probably not until late 23.
We have got to stay focused on the 22 cycle.
We still have a long way to go before 2024.
The news you need to know.
Looks like a majority to me. Nancy Pelosi has been fired. Isn't it?
And the place to talk about it.
You respect the will of the people.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Jonathan Heslop, the owner of Rockwood Charcoal, was just in the studio with us this past Friday. If you missed that conversation, make sure you go back and listen to that podcast, because great stuff from Jonathan as always. We talked a little bit about Thanksgiving coming up, and I have many times, and Jonathan, of course, as well, have grilled my Thanksgiving turkey right there on my Weber kettle using Rockwood Charcoal, and it is absolutely delicious. It is a fantastic way to go. We talked about that, and he gave us some tips and ideas of how to maximize that type of grilling. And if you have not ever checked out Rockwood Lump Charcoal, make sure you do ASAP. Not only is it a great local business that you are supporting, as well as local industry. Missouri is the #1 charcoal maker in the country, but it has been ranked the #1 consumer-rated charcoal nationwide 9 years in a row. So it's the best product across the board, and you're supporting a local business. Can't get any better than that. Rockwood Lump Charcoal is just superior if you're used to like the little traditional briquettes. It is a lot cleaner. There's not all the extra filler and chemicals inside Rockwood Lump Charcoal. It's basically just Missouri hardwoods in there, and it burns faster, it burns cleaner, it burns hotter, it gives you more control of what you're doing. Especially if you use other Rockwood products like their smoking woods. And it's just a superior experience all around. So next time you're grilling, make sure you have some Rockwood Lump Charcoal with you. And it is available in over 100 area stores. Find the one closest to you, plus pick up some more grilling tips and tricks, all at rockwoodcharcoal.com.
Let me tell you about my good friends Mike and Beverly Sloan over at Elite Printing and Packaging. Going on their 21st year in business, a success story that began in Mike's basement and now employs hundreds right here in the St. Louis community. Elite is a turnkey solution for all your retail printing and packaging needs. Custom built to suit your business. Call 636-561-8970 or email elitesolutionsgroup.com. And don't forget to use the code word Patriot to receive free design and artwork for your first project.
Since 2007, the state of Missouri and local governments have handed out almost $5 billion in tax subsidies or abatements to private developers. That money could have gone to basic services like schools and public safety. And studies show these subsidies don't produce the promised jobs and growth. If developers want to build a sports stadium or shopping mall, why should they be given our tax dollars to do it? It's time to reform economic development subsidies. The Show Me message has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk.
I think they're trying to attack the American people.
Live and local.
Gabe, Mike, Ken, you guys are my morning cup of mental coffee. I love the show. Definitely a convert from the old one.
This is News Talk STL. You're listening to Colombo and Katie.
One more segment to go here in the 2 o'clock hour, and then we'll be with you until 3:30, of course. That's when we'll hand things over to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show. Tony Colombo here with producer Stell and Crane Durham from NothingButTruth.com in studio for the entire show today. Wanted to get into what happened at the White House today during the press briefing. There's actually a couple stories here, and if we aren't able to get to all of it before the top of the hour news, we will continue this conversation into the 3 o'clock hour. Also, want to remind you in just a few minutes, don't go far away from your phone. We're going to have those Baby Shark Live tickets to give you at the end of this segment. So get your dialing fingers ready. The White House shuts down reporters' Fauci question on COVID origin. The White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre snapped at reporters who raised questions about the origins of COVID-19 during today's press briefing, which featured outgoing White House Chief Medical Advisor Dr. Anthony Fauci. It was his last appearance in a White House press briefing. The White House coronavirus response team updated reporters on the administration's vaccine efforts. Daily Caller White House correspondent Deanna Glebova attempted to ask a question regarding what Fauci has done to investigate the origins of COVID-19, but Jean-Pierre cut it off, didn't allow Fauci to answer, and shut down the reporter and rebuked her for speaking out of turn. She said, quote, "We have a process here. I'm not calling on people who yell, and you're being disrespectful to your colleagues, and you're being disrespectful to our guest." Our guest. Wow. She went on to say, "I will not call on you if you yell and you're taking time off the clock because Dr. Fauci has to leave in a couple of minutes." Wow. What's more important than the press briefing, guys? When the reporter objected, Jean-Pierre said she was done and was not getting into a I'm not getting into a back and forth with you, was the quote. Then, Today Africa News journalist Simon Aitba spoke up and said her question was valid and should be asked. This other reporter said, quote, "You need to call people from across the room. She has a valid question. She's asked about the origin of COVID." Jean-Pierre then yelled at that reporter, saying, "It's not your turn. I hear your question, but we're not doing this the way you want it. This is disrespectful, Simon. I'm done, Simon. I'm done. I'm done with you right now. You're taking time away from your colleagues." Crane, not a great example of transparency from the administration that says they are the most transparent in history.
It's amazing. This is the party that says the number one issue is the threat to democracy.
Yeah.
Well, now we see. What's more? Where's Fauci going? Where do you have to go?
What's so important that he can't stay for the entirety of the press briefing? What's more important than that? And two, what is with the White House and Karine Jean-Pierre not even allowing the question to be finished? Not even allowing Anthony Fauci to fend for himself and answer the question from the reporter. Jumps in and basically defends, puts up a shield around Fauci. It says, "You don't even answer that question. Don't even worry about this."
She must have worked at Twitter before she went to the
And how about other reporters in the room jumping to the defense of the Daily Caller reporter and saying, "That's a valid question. It's valid, it's relevant, and it deserves an answer." And she shuts that person down too.
Yeah, outbreaks of journalism. It happens, especially when you have reporters there from the Daily Caller and others that will really do their job as the fourth estate. It really amazes me why we weren't allowed to talk about this for 2 years now. If you claimed it was the Chinese government and it came from there, wow. But Tom Cotton spoke out and was demonized for it. He was factual. See, this is what gets me.
Mm-hmm.
We do have hints, clues that we know that are verifiable, and then there's stuff we don't know. But at the same time, they don't know if it was from eating a pangolin or whatever they claim it to be.
Yeah, or they do know, and we can't even
exactly.
We can't even ask the question.
Can't ask the question.
So let alone get the answers. We can't ask the question, so we definitely can't get the answers.
Yeah, and I think this is one of those 80% of Americans would like to be in the room and be able to ask questions. I always think like a press needs access to the president and to members of Congress, and they need to go long.
Mm-hmm.
Long and deep.
Yeah.
And say, hey, we've got questions we want you to know. And we're the fourth estate, so we're going to ask these questions and inform people. That's what their job is.
Can you imagine? I mean,
Accountability.
an elected official or somebody like Anthony Fauci who serves the people of the country, that's your job, to show up to the press briefing and say, you can ask some questions, but I've only got about 5 minutes, so,
It's like the Hunter Biden interview.
It's unbelievable.
It's like it only asks a certain amount.
Yeah, it's absolutely unbelievable. That was only one of two interesting exchanges at the White House today. We will get into the other issue as well as some more headlines in our half of the 3 o'clock hour here in just a minute. But first, I want to remind you that not only do you never have to miss anything that happens here on the show, you can also watch us. Subscribe to the Colombo and Katie podcast on your favorite podcast platform and subscribe to the Colombo and Katie YouTube channel so you can not only listen to but watch the show each and every day. And before we take this break and go to the top of the hour news, I need to remind you that right now is your chance to win Baby Shark Live tickets. Oh, we got it. Nice. Now, man, they played this earlier, Stell, and I had just gotten it out of my head. And now it's back.
It's back.
And now it's back. I'll be singing it for the rest of the afternoon. Oh, no, it's already there. The earworm has been firmly planted. Baby Shark Live, the Christmas show, is happening this coming Tuesday, November 29th at the Family Arena. Great show for the entire family. If you have young kids, don't miss this. We've got a family 4-pack of tickets for you right now that you can win by calling 314-912-1019. Let's do caller number 5. 314-912-1019. Caller number 5 wins a family 4-pack of tickets to Baby Shark Live, the Christmas show, this coming Tuesday, November 29th at the Family Arena. So make sure you're checking it out, familyarena.com, if you want some more information about the show or if you want to buy tickets. But call and win right now. And don't go anywhere. More Colombo and Katie coming your way in just a minute at 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Do you live in West St. Louis County? Then you can get West News Magazine delivered free to your home just by asking for it. West News Magazine is the only print source for the political, school, business, and sports news happening in your hometown. Simply visit westnewsmagazine.com/subscribe or pick up a free copy at all area Deerbergs and Schnuck stores. West News Magazine. Anybody who wants it, gets it. Anybody who gets it, wants it. Subscribe for free today. Simply visit westnewsmagazine.com/subscribe.
Are you tired of hard chlorinated water drying your skin out, tasting bad, and ruining your fixtures? Jones Air and Water Treatment has a solution to this pollution. Our Hydratech H2O leaves you with great tasting, soft water at all fixtures in your home with one unit. Call Jones Air and Water at 636-899-1040 or visit us on the web at joneswater.com. You can be a filter or buy a filter. Jones Air and Water, 636-899-1040 or joneswater.com on the web. Call us now.
Starting to get cold out there, and if you want to make sure that your home and your family is warm and comfortable as we go into the unpredictable St. Louis winter, make sure that you are in communication with our friends at Agers HVAC, whether it be repairs or replacement, doing right by the customer, and customer satisfaction is their number one priority. If you're having any trouble keeping your house warm and you just need somebody to come in and conduct repairs, call Agers. If you need to put a new system in your home, take advantage of what only Agers has, the mobile showroom, so you don't have to go anywhere. It all comes to your house so you can go out and make the best decision again for your home and for your budget. you have to call Agers. Agers, doing right by the customers, their number one priority. That's why we trust them with our home. And you can learn more about Agers by going to the website, Call Agers, A-G-E-R-S, callagers.com.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm John Scott. AAA predicting more than 54 million people will travel 50 miles or more from home this Thanksgiving. That's almost back to pre-pandemic volumes. This man from Southern California says he's glad to be traveling again.
Everything's getting back to normal since COVID, right? So you want to be part of that joy and part of those relationships, and that's what matters most. And we'll find a way somewhere, somehow.
More good news. Oil prices are at 10-month lows. Gasoline prices could fall below $3 a gallon for the first time in 18 months. Also at townhall.com, in Indonesia, bodies continue to be pulled from earthquake debris in the hardest hit city of Cianjur, located in the country's most densely populated province of West Java.
Enjot, a survivor, was tending to his cows in the hills around his home when the quake struck. After getting a call from his daughter, he hopped on his motorbike and raced home, arriving to see his neighborhood flattened. Enjot says, I heard them, other villagers, crying, screaming hysterically, looking for his mother, looking for his father, looking for his brother. I have lost relatives, and my house is also destroyed. Rescue teams carry the body of Enjot's nephew after being retrieved under the rubble. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
A manhunt has now been underway for more than a week in the remote college town of Moscow, where a still unidentified suspect or suspects stabbed 4 University of Idaho students to death in the early morning hours of November 13th. A motive and the identity of who did the crime remain unknown. A higher close on Wall Street, the Dow up 412 points and the NASDAQ adding 149. More at townhall.com.
And my name's Adam Barada. I'm the owner of Advantage Gold, the highest rated precious metals firm in the country. Now, we've won the Best of TrustLink award 4 years in a row because we educate our clients on how to buy gold and silver the right way. We don't pay celebrity spokespeople millions of dollars. We'd rather pass that value on to you. Call 800-900-8000 and speak with one of our experts. We'll send you a free gold kit along with my latest national best-selling book, The Great Devaluation. Call 800-900-8000. Call 800-900-8000.
Hi, this is Dennis Prager. As you know, the culmination of my life's work has been writing my Rational Bible Commentary series. I have done Genesis, Exodus, and the just-released Deuteronomy. They are all called the Rational Bible because my approach is entirely reason-based. So if you're looking for the perfect holiday gift, even for someone with no faith, in fact, especially, I recommend giving them my Rational Bibles. Go to PragerStore.com. You can buy them individually or as a complete set. That's PragerStore.com or click the banner on my website.
Republican Representative David Valdeo wins California's Central Valley vote. Bernie Bennett has more.
Republican Congressman David Valdeo has defeated Democrat Rudy Salas in a Central Valley district, overcoming strong Democratic registration advantage and fallout from his vote to impeach then-President Donald Trump. With 98% of the ballots counted Monday night, Valdeo had 52% of the vote to 48% for Salas, or a margin of about 4,500 votes. Republicans have regained control of the House. With Valdeo's victory, Republicans will hold 219 seats next year, Democrats 212. Counting is not yet finished on a handful of other undecided races. Bernie Bennett reporting.
A man charged in the slayings of 2 campus officers at a private Virginia college has been indicted by a grand jury on first-degree murder and other counts. Alexander Wyatt Campbell indicted on Monday the shooting at Bridgewater College in February. Breaking news and analysis at townhall.com. U.S. authorities say police in Estonia have arrested 2 men accused in a $500 million cryptocurrency fraud.
An indictment unsealed in U.S. District Court in Seattle charged 37-year-old Estonian citizen Sergei Potapenko and Ivan Turagin with wire fraud and conspiracy to commit money laundering. Prosecutors say they tricked hundreds of thousands of people into buying contracts for a cryptocurrency mining service called Hashflare. The men are accused of using shell companies to launder the $575 million and to purchase real estate and luxury cars.
Correspondent Jeremy House. Dubai International Airport says passenger numbers for the third quarter of 2022 have surpassed pre-COVID-19 pandemic levels. The airport saw 18.5 million passengers in the third quarter. That's up from 17.8 million in the first quarter. More on these stories at townhall.com. I'm John Scott.
From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
News 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton with your first alert forecast. A nice evening, but it cools quickly. We'll drop into the 40s, so grab the jacket for your evening activities. Low down to 37 degrees, but then quickly warming yet again. A high of 62 for a nice mild day on Wednesday. Normal highs 52. Mostly sunny to start, but partly cloudy in the afternoon. Increasing clouds, but we stay dry. Thursday, however, there is a chance of rain. It's not going to rain all day, and it's light showers, but there is a chance of rain at any point from morning on into the evening. So we may be in and out of a few showers at times with a high of 52 degrees for Thanksgiving. That's the latest First Alert forecast. I'm News 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
Talk radio made in St. Louis for St. Louis. This is News Talk STL.
Our responsibility.
News, analysis, and opinion.
To provide updated guidance.
At 1019, 941, and newstalkstl.com.
If you've been thinking about selling your home, don't let this opportunity pass you by. Call the Wallner Home Selling Team with Berkshire Hathaway immediately. You guys have heard me talk about the great success that we had selling our old home and finding our new home using Rodney and Jen Wallner, the Wallner Home Selling Team. And you've probably heard other people. You probably know people in your life, friends, family, acquaintances, whatever, that have sold their home the last year or so and had this great story about how fast they sold it for and how much money they made. And you may be interested in that, but thinking that the opportunity has passed you by. Well, certainly things are changing. They are different than they were a year or so ago when my wife and I decided that we were going to move, and then several months ago when we actually went through the process. But it is still a great time to sell your home. So things are changing in the market. Things are changing in the economy, but it's still an opportunity that exists right now. The window is still open. So if it's something that you have been thinking about doing, you want to act quickly because you don't know how long this opportunity is going to be there. And it could be years before another opportunity like this comes back around. So if you are thinking about selling your home, use St. Louis's #1 home selling team. Rodney and Jen, just from personal experience, they have the experience, they have the work ethic, they're a married couple, they bring that family perspective to the conversation. Not only that, they're selling 15 times more homes per year than your typical home seller. They have so many qualified buyers right now that they guarantee to get you an offer. They are simply the best. So if you have been thinking about selling your home, call the Wallners now at 314-810-SOLD, 314-810-SOLD, 314-810-SOLD for the Wallner Home Selling Team.
The news and talk.
More than 230,000 people were stopped along the Mexican border in October.
That matters to St. Louis.
Americans are desperate for deals as inflation soars.
1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, 99.1 HD3 and newstalkstl.com.
Get a shiver in the dark, it's raining in the park, but meantime, sound of the river, you're stopping your whole everything.
Welcome back to Colombo and Katie on 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL. One more segment to go for us this afternoon before we hand things over to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show at 3:30. I'm Tony Colombo here with producer Stell and Crane Durham from NothingButTruth.com in studio with us this afternoon. Crane, how are things at NothingButTruth.com?
Well, things are ramping up. You talked about the holidays. News cycle being like a fire hydrant, trying to, it's like boom, it's going. And ramping up for the new year because it's going to go much more interactive. So with our recent poll and people sounding off, I think people want a forum to speak on, and they do, and it's wonderful. And if they disagree with me, wonderful. If they agree, they're engaged at least, and that's what we need.
It's a website that you should check out if you are a person that, has a routine. How you get your daily news, and you go and get your daily update on what's happening in the world. Make sure that you include nothingbutTruth.com in that rotation of news sources that you trust to be covering and talking about all the important issues of the day. And like Crane just said, not only can you get all that information, but a chance to interact and have your voice heard a little bit as well.
Absolutely. I think, and blessed with this opportunity that you've offered, and Katie, and through the maternity leave.
Yes.
And so it's been very, did you like that? Was the universal sign for, is that the sign for maternity leave? I moved my hands and I kind of cradled a baby. Oh,
Huge
heavens.
thank you to Baby Maeve for coming into existence. And
the universal sign. That was awesome.
International sign for choking.
Yes.
International sign for maternity leave.
I got
very common.
Yes.
I got to ask you, with all of this nice weather that we've had, have you gotten much tennis in?
Yes. Well, I've been out there, but not in the last week. No, it's crazy, but I've been able to run, and driving back, seeing Forest Park. Golly, love that place.
Yeah.
Wish they would make it safe.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Amen.
but that's the truth. Golly, because it is such a jewel.
You can say that about so many things in downtown St. Louis. We've got a lot of very great, cool things happening. Down here, right here at Union Station.
Yeah.
They've done a great job rehabbing Union Station and opening up the aquarium and the wheel. And right now during the holidays, with all the cool holiday decorations and the Polar Express train thing, and we've got the Battlehawks coming back, and we've got the soccer team, about to start. There's a lot of great things happening in downtown St. Louis, but it's just a place that people are concerned. Getting down to the city, on public transportation is very questionable, and just how to keep yourself safe, when you try to come down and enjoy all of these great things that the city has to offer is a problem, and needs to be addressed and fixed so we can take advantage of all
Number
of these awesome things.
Number one, the government needs to protect its citizens.
Yes.
Local
Amen.
and otherwise.
Yeah.
And the cops are not the enemies.
No.
And golly, and you know more about this than anybody because you were on the ground.
Well, and we have the special prosecutor in the city of St. Louis who does think that the police are the enemy. Kimberly Gardner, when you don't prosecute criminals, when you don't hold them accountable for their crimes, you don't create a safe environment for people to live, to work, and take advantage of the entertainment that you have in your city.
It's declarative of our number one right to life.
Yes.
And
could not agree more.
I think that's, it's funny because we talk about these things. I was watching other drivers, and we're headed in that, wonderful thing called 40 and going back and it's like, okay, why are we stopping? But I sat there and I said, all these people basically want the same thing. We want to be protected. We don't want criminals to run free, and we want a system that we can believe in and have an impact on.
You think 40's bad? 70 has basically become Mad Max. Like it's like the Thunderdome. Like there are no rules on Interstate 70 from like downtown to about the airport. Like it's just every man for himself.
I've become an old man driver. And, I leave my left blinker on. And so it's that way as I go. And I'm like, people are driving too fast.
You're not going to have a good experience on. Yeah. You might see some of the, you may be.
People say I'm number one.
Trapped in there. Yeah. You may see some drivers conspiring against you if you're driving slowly with the left blinker on for any amount of time down Highway 70. But no, you're exactly right. So once again, nothingbutTruth.com. Make sure you're checking it out on a daily basis and interacting. And it's great to have Crane with us today and every Tuesday and Thursday. As Katie's been out on maternity leave, and you can give that signal to the people on the
Thank you very much there.
And folks may be wondering why I asked you about tennis. I know that you're a tennis lover. That's why I asked. So in case folks are thinking, why did he ask about
tennis? Tennis lover, tennis coach.
Yeah, and I love it. I love to teach I love to work with people, and everybody becomes a kid again when they're on the. It's like when you play sports, sometimes you could step away, and I think we do this in our lives too. We find outlets where we can dream again. I know that sounds hokey, but it's true.
Well, that's what sports are supposed to be. You know, that's why I got so angry with football whenever, they allowed politics to be so displayed on the field, and other sports have done that too. I don't take away the athletes that have made it to professional sports. They have earned themselves a platform and an audience. And if they want to use that platform to protest or to promote political beliefs or endorse, whatever they want to endorse, they have earned that right and can do anything that they want to do. It's totally fine with me. But keep it off the field.
Yeah.
The game is supposed to be the game. It's supposed to be where we unplug. It's supposed to be where we're not talking about whether you're a Democrat or Republican or whatever. We're just there to support our team. And boo the other team and come together and get away from all of that. And we've allowed politics to invade sports so much that me personally, someone who grew up as a kid and all through my adulthood, like watching every Cardinal baseball game and watching football every weekend and watching hockey and watching I barely watch sports anymore because I became so... I do this for a living. I talk about politics and I run everything through, the political and news filter as I'm watching it. And I need a place to unplug. And sports was that for me for so long. And when it became not that, it felt like it was my job. I felt like I was working when I was watching sports because I'm, making mental notes about all of these political things that are happening. And it's like, this is not fun.
Right.
This is not what I'm here for.
No, I couldn't watch the NFL for years.
So I've been driven away from a lot of sports. And I hope that we can get back to a time where it's just, we just all come together to watch our sports team and we leave politics and the news and all of that drama at the door and take a break for a few minutes.
Many people right now can relate to exactly what you said.
Yeah.
And
I have barely watched sports over the last few years because I just can't stand the influx of politics.
Right. And
they put the designated hitter in the National League, and that was bad. I can't even. It's not even baseball. I can't even look at that anymore. So,
and my nerd side goes: if you do have an athlete who makes a statement, don't turn him into a hero before he or she defends their statement. Hold them accountable. They should be able to defend it. I mean, Colin Kaepernick interview. I'm sure you'd welcome him in.
Oh, absolutely.
And say, hey, just got a few questions for you.
Yeah.
Chief.
Yeah.
Or not chief. He was at the time a 49er. Okay.
No, I couldn't agree more. And I'm glad that you have that. And playing sports can still be that outlet. And,
yes.
And so, just keep the politics out of it, and I love that, and I'm sure that tennis provides you with that outlet to unplug and just enjoy the athletic competition and the skill that it takes to excel.
And compete. And there's a reason we keep score.
Yep.
Absolutely. I mean,
absolutely. Yep.
It's a good thing. Win, lose, whatever.
Yep. Couldn't agree more. Dive back into this White House briefing that happened earlier. I want to remind you, we were talking about this in the last segment, in that 2 o'clock hour. We were talking about the press briefing in a very compelling confrontation between Karine Jean-Pierre and some of the reporters there. If you missed that story, just make sure that you are subscribed to the Colombo and Katie podcast on your favorite podcast platform so you never miss anything that happens here on the show, and also subscribe to the Colombo and Katie YouTube channel. So, same briefing. The White House dismissed visiting the southern border as a political stunt. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre dismissed politicians making trips to the U.S.-Mexico border as a political stunt today. She made the statement in response to questions about House Minority Leader, soon-to-be Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy, making an appearance at the border.
President Biden has yet to visit the southern border nearly 2 years into his presidency. As the country wrestles with an unprecedented border crisis, the U.S. has seen record levels of illegal immigration throughout the Biden administration. We've talked about this many times. The U.S. Customs and Border Protection Agency reported 230,000 border encounters in October alone, an all-time monthly record that broke the previous record set in September. So every month we set a new record for what's happening. That's how bad it is down at the border.
Record breaking.
Yes. Quote, I've heard that Kevin McCarthy is at the border, and the question we have for Kevin McCarthy, who's soon to be Speaker McCarthy, is what is his plan? What is he doing to help the situation we're seeing? Jean-Pierre said today. She went on to say, quote, he goes down there and he does his political stunt like many Republicans do, but he's not actually putting forth a plan. McCarthy has no plan. The Republican Party has no plan. They do nothing except political stunts. Well, you know what? I would say that Republicans also have a lot of blame in what is happening at the border. But under President Trump, like it or not, stats speak for themselves. It was a much better, more controlled situation than what is happening right now. And political stunt or not, at least they're there. At least they see it. At least they have personal knowledge and from their own eyeballs of exactly what is happening at the border. And this president has yet to make a visit in 2 years to the southern border. So political stunt or not, Karine Jean-Pierre, at least they're there.
Yeah, and I think they're number one on the list of the Republican plan is not to accuse the people enforcing Border Patrol agents of whipping people. That's not to demonize it. This is outrageous. Think about the fact that
was outrageous.
Yeah, I mean, a total smear on an organization. It's very similar what they do to the military and to the police. And it's awful. Yeah. Absolutely awful, and it's disgusting.
Could not agree more. But
when my wife saw that video, the very first thing she said was, they're not whipping them. She's worked with horses almost all of her life.
Yeah.
And she knew exactly what was going on. And she said that whatever they're saying from the Washington end, they're wrong.
Yeah. You remember who else said that, Stel?
No.
The photographer.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Wow.
That's right.
Before we did this story, this story came back up 2 or 3 weeks ago, and we talked about it because it was revealed. It is a known fact now that report from the photographer who took the pictures told the Democrats, told the White House what that was, what the reality of that picture was, that this had everything to do with controlling the horses, that there was no whipping of any kind of any migrants. That report made it to the White House before they went public with that narrative. So they knew when they went on television and they went to the media and they said that this was a Border Patrol agent whipping or potentially, allegedly whipping migrants.
Illegal aliens.
They knew
illegal aliens. They knew that was false. The emails were revealed, the timestamps of the email of when it was all sent, that the photographer that took those pictures had delivered that information to all the people involved, that this does not show any type of whipping of illegal immigrants. This is Border Patrol agents controlling their horses, and the Democrats, the White House, and so many others still put forth this lie publicly. So they caught red-handed lying to the American people.
Would that disqualify some? I mean, think about knowingly misleading someone and then having a press corps that you are, and people are here to hear the rest of the story, but other outlets, I mean, that would have led news every night until there was accountability. They would keep asking.
Test that.
Yeah.
If they caught the Trump White House red-handed in an absolute lie, they had the documents. They could show the email that said, look, you knew ahead of time
that this wasn't true, but you still went on television and presented a false narrative to the American people, it would have been, no matter what the topic, southern border, gas prices, foreign policy, doesn't matter, law doesn't matter, whatever the issue is, if they caught him in a lie, it would be everywhere. There'd be another impeachment.
Yeah.
They'd be impeaching him. They'd be knocking down his door again and doing investigations. But it's not even news. That story barely even got covered.
It was suppressed.
When when the lie was exposed.
Well,
barely even covered.
I think you'll support this, and I think Tony will. The press should have a CFT, a Colombo flip test, and do that, and then bring it out. Yeah, let's see what happens.
Look,
here.
I know that I overdo the flip test, but it's I'm saying that but it's so simple, and it literally works every time. So just run it through that flip test filter. Before,
CFT.
And you see if all of a sudden your thoughts don't change, because I think many times they will. All right, that is going to do it. Time flies when you're having fun with Crane Durham from nothingbutTruth.com. It is time to wrap up this edition of Colombo and Katie. Again, just subscribe to the Colombo and Katie podcast on your favorite podcast platform, Apple, Amazon, Google, Spotify, whatever it may be. We are in all those places and more. And also the Colombo and Katie YouTube channel, so you never miss anything that happens here on the show. Crane Durham from nothingbutTruth.com joins us every Tuesday and Thursday. Thank you so much for being in studio with us today, my friend.
Thank you. You all are awesome.
Have a great Thanksgiving, and we will certainly talk to you next week.
Yes.
Buddy. And, of course, Stella and I will be back tomorrow at 2 o'clock. And now it is time for the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. Don't go anywhere. Tim and Chris will get you through the rest of your Tuesday afternoon. Thank you so much for listening to us and supporting us here at 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Competition in other places, but the horns, they blowing that sound.
Follow us on Rumble at News Talk STL.
Way on down south, way on down south, London town.
Hey, it's Katie reminding you to subscribe to our show podcast so you never miss anything that happens here at News Talk STL. Get our podcasts every day on the show pages at newstalkstl.com, or just subscribe to your favorite shows on Spotify, Apple, Google, Amazon, or anywhere else you get your podcasts.
Fox News.